Hi everyone, I'm Law of the West, and welcome back to another Buyer's Guide. And this time I'm going to be taking a look at MISC's new straight-to-flyable salvage ship, the Fortune. Its warbond price is $160, while its standalone cost is $175. If you took a look at it from the outside, you'd be hard-pressed to find any difference between it and the Prospector, with the only real tells lying in subtle details like its slightly elongated body, different-looking VTOL thrusters, and the type of storage containers that it uses. Another difference is that it has both a side and a rear entrance. In the back it has a lift that has a small 2x2 maglock grid on it that can hold up to 4 SCUs of cargo or a few small loose items. It rises up into a chamber that's sectioned off from the rest of the ship by a set of doors, and flanking each side of the room are 2 components cabinets that holds the ship's cooler and 2 of its 3 shields. The next room is where the ship's cargo crate dispenser is located, and immediately to your left and right you'll find a set of control panels. The Vulture may have 2 scraper heads, but the Fortune has a pair of filler stations that can act independently of one another. It can also be used to craft a number of small items. Its 12x1 container dispenser automatically loads material onto the external grid. And one of the biggest issues that people have when talking about the Fortune versus the Vulture is how their storage capabilities measure up. The Vulture can carry up to 39 SCUs of salvage, while the Fortune can carry 12 SCUs on its external grid and an additional 4 more on its lift, 13 in the filler station's internal buffer, and 18 more SCUs that's unstowed within the ship. Well, that's going to be a total of 47 SCUs. I also like the nice touch that they've added putting 4 windows behind the grid that lets the light in, but it also helps to eliminate some of the claustrophobic feeling that the Hull A and the Prospector's interior has. You can also put more than just cubes of recycled material onto the grid. The next room is the hab. It has several more small components cabinets for the gravity generator, the jump drive, the radar, life support, and another shield. It also has a small weapons rack that can hold a few handheld guns. Along the opposite wall is a bed that has a storage compartment under it. And next to that is a food dispenser and a shower bathroom. This room also has a fuse box, an engineering terminal, and a side door that leads directly out of the ship. The last room is the flight deck, and its view of the outside world is just as open and panoramic as the Prospector's. So much of the Fortune's identity seems to revolve around how it compares to the Vulture, so I wanted to sum up what those main differences are for you. The Fortune has a bigger fuel tank, which gives it more range. On paper, the 2 ships can carry the same amount of cargo in both their storage bays and within their filler stations. But when it comes to their off-the-grid storage, the Fortune can carry a little bit more. The external cargo grid and automatic stowing system is going to be a lot faster and organized when it comes to generating RMC. It's also going to be a lot more convenient when it comes to offloading it from the ship. And you're going to be able to still use the Fortune's internal space to store salvage components and weapons. They're just going to have to be carried as unstowed cargo. And since the ship has 2 entrances, you can really clog up the center of it with as much stuff as you want. Well, the Vulture has 2 scraper heads. Its second head gives it access to an alternative scraping method, while the Fortune is stuck with what it has. And the Vulture is also going to be able to collect material at a faster rate than the Fortune. The Vulture has better handling when in both SCM and nav modes and a better linear acceleration, but it trades off speed and maneuverability for durability. So in the end, the major difference between these 2 ships is going to be a matter of convenience versus speed. So is it worth it? As a solo pilot operated salvage ship, I'd say yes. I really like salvage gameplay, and I've also really liked the Vulture ever since it was first introduced into the game. But the one complaint that I had with it was how the ship handled generating recycled material and with how you had to manually store it. And now that I look back on it, there's something that's distinctly Drake about how it works, and I can appreciate it for that. The Vulture may be faster at what it does, but I'm not trying to speedrun when it comes to salvaging. Yeah, I distinctly like the zen quality that salvaging has, and I'm not really looking to min-max my time when I'm scraping a ship. Instead, I want to collect as much material as I can with each run. And there's something that's very satisfying with the way that the Fortune organizes its cargo. This is unlike the Vulture, where one time I was actually killed by an RMC cube. And it happened while I was playing the Tetris game in an attempt to min-max on space, and at some point one of the cubes went rogue and tried to assimilate my face with all the fury of a hopped-up Borg. And honestly, I'm not going to miss having to go down a ladder every time I want to empty the buffer. And after all of that, I've learned to appreciate being able to offload what I've collected in such an easy manner, and I like how it's going to be up to me to decide how much of the ship's interior I want to use for additional storage. So if you're the kind of person who values ease and convenience over speed, then the Fortune is definitely going to be the ship for you. Well, that's going to be it for this buyer's guide for the MISC Fortune. I've been your host, Law of the West. Thanks for watching, and take care.